Hi, I'm Dawn Marie Solis with INIS 2022 Neurodiversity Conference, and I am here today with Laura Lazar. She is with Music for Autism, and it is an organization that I have been so excited about since I found it a couple of months ago. They do concerts designed for folks who have sensory issues and the whole thing. Like if you're a neurodivergent, they design concerts for you, and that just lights up my world. So Laura, thank you so much for participating in INIS and being willing to talk to us. And I can't wait to hear more about what you and your organization do, however that grammar works.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. You've given such a lovely introduction to our work. You put it better than I could have.
So how did the organization get started?
Sure. So our founder, Dr. Robert Accordino, when I believe before he went to medical school, he spent some time in Oxford. And he's always had a musical background, and he's also had interest in medicine. So he was doing a fellowship or a volunteer program, something at Oxford, where he came across Music for Autism in the UK, and he got the chance to work with them. And really sort of fell in love with the concept of what they were doing. He saw the impact on the families was huge. Just having sort of like a safe space where your friend or, loved one with autism can just feel free to express themselves however they would like. No one is shushing them. Nobody is judging them. If they wanted to get up and dance, in so many traditional concert formats, you can't do that, right? So Music for Autism in the UK is very similar to what we're doing here. So long story short, he brought the concept over to the US when he came to start medical school here. So he started it as a full-time student. He started out of his dorm room, and it's now grown to 5 cities in the US when we were in person. And then now, because of the pandemic, we've been live streaming virtually, obviously, like across the nation since April 2020.
And that's the style of concert that I have attended. I think I've been through now. And they're just really precious. I love seeing the musicians in just such a relaxed atmosphere. I grew up on classical music and jazz, and they're presented in very different environments.
Right.
And so there's these sort of very buttoned up, sit still, don't even cough environment of classical music. And then there's jazz where you're allowed to like tap your foot and move a little bit. But still not necessarily like, express yourself. So
let it all out. Yeah, exactly.
If you start scatting along with the jazz singer, they may get a little grumpy with you. And one of the things I loved about your concert format is that you encourage. You don't just allow, but you encourage, clap, snap, move, sing, participate, be whoever you are. And for me, that's the world I want to help emerge.
Right.
Where it all exists, right? If you would do best in a very quiet, nobody moves, don't bother my listening experience environment, that's out there for you. And if you would do best in everybody's up wandering around and grooving to whatever's going on, that's available to you and everything in between. So how did you end up involved in this? So we heard about Robert and his experience and how cool to start something this amazing out of your dorm room. But how did you come to this work?
I started out as a volunteer at our in-person concerts. So I basically, I moved to New York after college. My partner worked with someone who was on the junior board, and he knew that I was looking for places to volunteer just to get to know people. And so he put me in touch with Robert. Now, the volunteer cadre is super important to the in-person concert experience. It's exactly like what you were touching upon. The volunteers are there to make sure that you feel comfortable, no matter what it is that you want to do. So they welcome you at the very beginning. They show you around. They show you to your seat. During the concert, if you want to get up and dance with them, they will be there dance alongside you. If you just want to sit, and you'd like some company just sitting, they will just sit with you. They're very, very integral to just making the concert experience as welcoming and warm and as safe as it possibly can be. So I started off as a volunteer. As I got to know Robert, he invited me to take on more responsibility. I joined the junior board, then I chaired the junior board, and then I eventually we were in between executive directors, so I stepped in to sort of just keep the lights on. And that was 6 years ago now, and I'm still here helping to basically manage, the national concerts, manage the transition to virtual, manage our staff in different locations, and then working with the board and obviously with our participants to try and just, create the best programming that we possibly can.
Are you hoping to reincorporate some in-person shows in the future?
We really are. It's funny. So our participants love the virtual because it means that you don't have to get in the car. You don't have to find parking. You don't have to if something throws a wrench in your day, you still have the option of pulling it up on your phone and experiencing the concert. You don't, it's just a lower lift to get to the concert. However, that being said, a lot of people also really miss the magic of truly live music. And also our in-person concerts are so participatory. So you can see from our virtual concerts that the musicians do so much talking to the camera. They talk as if you're talking back to them. In person, that is just so much more magical because you can interact with them. They will answer your questions live. You can actually conduct them because they can see you and they can play along to they can respond to whatever it is that you're doing. So while virtual has been fantastic for so many people, there is an element that is missing from the virtual that is present at the live concerts that makes them so special. So as soon as we figure out a protocol and what we want to do to keep our participants as COVID safe as possible, we will be going back to in-person concerts. I don't want to jinx myself because I thought it was going to be the start of 2022 and now it's looking like the start of 2023, but I'm hopeful that it is on the horizon.
That's
that
wonderful.
being said, we are going to, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We are going to maintain an element of virtual just because of the much broader audience that we've been able to sort of bring in. We have, schools in Michigan are reaching out to me, and we never had in-person programming in Michigan. There's folks in Alaska who are participating in our virtual concerts. So we definitely don't have any programming in Alaska that's in person. So it's been really wonderful to just be able to open up the experience to more people. So it's kind of a weird COVID silver lining.
I do think that incorporating the virtual experience is something that, I mean, I love live music. I'm not always up for the live experience.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, just like you said, all of the steps from get in the car to get there, park, get in, and yeah, there's just a lot, and you're not sure what it's going to be like, and if it's going to be uncomfortable. And I'm somebody who wants to know where the bathrooms are, and how clean are they.
You know where the bathrooms are. It's great. It's fantastic.
That's right. If I'm home, yeah, it's just really comfy and pleasant. Would you please describe, I've seen them, so I know the format, but could you describe the format that you've developed for your concerts?
Yeah, so we want to make the whole concert experience, whether in person or virtual, as predictable and stable as possible. So before every concert, we have developed what is called a social story, so that if you're someone who, likes to know what's coming up, you can read through the social story, or you can read it through with somebody, and it tells you sort of the various steps of the concert. We've adapted it to virtual, but when it was in person, it was literally like, from the door, you will be met by a volunteer. They will show you where the snacks are. They will show you to your seat. With virtual, it's obviously not that detailed, just because it doesn't need to be, but we do incorporate elements like grab a pasta box if you want to shake along during percussion time, which I'll get to. But the structure of the concerts themselves is it's about 20 to 40 minutes, depending on in-person or virtual, of what we call concert time, which is really, the more traditional concert format. So the musician will play a couple numbers. They'll be doing a lot of banter. So they'll tell you about themselves. They'll tell you about the inspiration for a song. They'll tell you the history of a composer, or they'll tell you a little bit about the instruments that they're using. So that's concert time. Then we move into conducting time, where the musician will literally lead the audience members in how to conduct. So it's the 2/4 time, or speed up or get louder. And when you're in person, the musician will like actually react, and you can see sort of the like if you conduct, they will react. So it's like you're literally conducting them, which is like really kind of fun. And then the final element is percussion time. So when we're in person, we actually hand out little noisemakers so that the audience can participate in making music alongside the artist. And then during the virtual concerts, we'll tell people, like I just said, grab a pasta box. People have grabbed, vitamin bottles. People get real creative with it. Like, someone on screen had like a fish that made noise, so they were like shaking the fish. People will grab pots and pans. A lot of time we'll get pictures from the audience members. They'll have like little keyboards, so they'll be keyboarding along, or they'll be sitting there with their pots and pans, and we'll get a really great picture from them, sort of just enjoying being able to play along and like participate in the music making.
That's so much fun.
It's fun.
It's just so much fun, and it's I think there are elements to this. Obviously, your organization is gearing things toward the neurodivergent population, but I really do think that really anyone is going to enjoy your concerts. There's just such a kindness and inclusiveness to it. That I really think anybody could feel invited and welcomed and included. What types of music do you usually provide in your concerts?
Yeah. And thank you for saying that about like the inclusiveness and the kindness. That's very sweet. That really is that's what we're going for. We just want everyone to feel welcome and just happy. Like, you don't want to listen to music and feel sad or like bad or anything. So yeah, that's really what we're going for. We honestly have a range of genres. We have a lot of classical chamber ensembles. Our first concert in the fall on September 10th is going to be this really exciting percussionist out of Toronto. So she has all these cool percussion instruments, from like West African instruments to like Eastern European big timpanis, and she just sits there and plays them for you, and it's awesome. We have folks from Broadway who come in all the time, and they're always really exciting. People who write their own music and are singer-songwriters. It really does kind of, it's across the gamut of genres. We really don't say, no, we don't want that. But I mean, that being said, we are like attuned to maybe, some things are a little bit more sensory friendly than others. But if we had a big brass band in person, and we loved them, they were great. And so the adjustments that we make are just, we're conscious of volume, and we give everyone the heads up that this may be a louder concert than a classical chamber violinist, for example. So we really try and like give a broad range of genres for people to enjoy, with obviously maintaining sort of sensitivity to people's needs.
That's great. Also, I think all of your concerts are available for free. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. We like I said, we want to make them as accessible as possible. Every single one is free. At the in-person concerts, we also provide snacks because sometimes that's an important part of someone's day sometimes. Yes, every single concert is completely free to the participants.
That's amazing. I have 3 now adult children, but when they were children, growing up, there were times where we had no money for anything extra, and we were constantly looking for something that we could do as a family that was going to appreciate us as a family.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that any of us were ADHD, let alone autistic or anything like that when they were growing up. We all figured out our identity as adults. But I did know that we all struggled to sit still. We all struggled to stay quiet, right? There were a lot of environments where the 4 of us were not necessarily going to be the most welcome.
Yeah.
And to find places that we could afford that would enjoy having our little troop sometimes felt impossible. So the fact that your organization is providing these inclusive experiences and not asking the audience to pay for it, that's really amazing. However, I would imagine there are funds needed. So how might somebody contribute to you if they would like?
Oh, that's so kind of you to ask. We are very, very heavily sort of individual donor funded. And so if you go on our website, there is a little bright blue donate box because we are a nonprofit. So you can donate to us through the website. There is an address on there if you prefer to send a check. Many people set up little fundraisers for us. So actually Facebook is a big source of donations for us, and I'm sure for lots of other organizations. But people will they'll read a little bit about us. I'm not even sure how much, but they'll connect with what it is that we're trying to do. And they'll set up like a birthday fundraiser for us or something along those lines. So we get funding through that as well. And it's always really great. Like, I think that the people that raise money for us without really knowing what we do, it kind of shows that connection to music and how important it is in people's lives. So we're obviously like super grateful for every single donation. Every little bit helps, as you said, to keep the programming free, for sure.
Yeah, for me, that would be really, really important to have there be as few barriers to participation as possible. Yeah. So great. And I'll make sure that there are links attached to this video so that people can click and get more information and see your concert schedule, what's coming up. So your first one is September 10th?
It is September 10th. It's with that percussionist I mentioned, Britton Renee Collins. She's fantastic. The way that you RSVP for the concerts is people can either email me directly and I'll put them on the list, or if you go to the concert calendar, you can either RSVP from the homepage of the concert calendar or click in, read a little bit more about the artist, and then RSVP on a form there.
Okay, that's great.
People are free to email me at any time. I answer all my emails.
All right. Well, this video will go live on September 24th, so people will have missed the 10. But your season goes from when to when?
We go from September 10th. I'm just pulling up the calendar now. September 10th to December 17th. So okay. After the 24th, the next one is October 9th. It's with a young soprano, mezzo-soprano, Megan Moore.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All righty. Well, we'll make sure that that's all linked up and that people have access to that. For your online events, do you have a limit to the number of people you can take? That's great.
No, I mean, that's another silver lining, because obviously with the in-person events, we want to cap it. We need to make sure we have enough volunteers. I think the ratio is like We keep a very high volunteer to participant ratio, just like I said, for safety reasons, to make sure that everyone can have that sort of one-on-one experience. So we do cap the in-person events. The online, if we have 1 million and I have to start paying something to YouTube, that would make me so happy. So,
I agree. I agree. What a wonderful problem to have.
yeah, it would be a great problem to have. We're not quite there yet, but I'm working on it.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Laura, this has been just wonderful. I'm thrilled to be able to let more people know that you're out there, that you exist. I'm looking forward to, hopefully partnering sometime in the future and getting more work done together. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to make sure that this audience hears about?
I can't remember if I mentioned it, but our concerts really are for people of all ages. We do have a lot of kids, like younger folks, but really there is no age limit. There's no age limit to enjoy music, therefore there's no age limit to our concerts.
That's great. That's perfect. Yeah, because all of us little autistic kids grew up to be autistic adults. So we need stuff too.
Okay. Yeah.
But well, thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate your time, and I will be so excited to see all of your concerts coming up this fall.
Thank you so much. This was so lovely. Thank you for taking the time to talk about our work. And I hope the rest of the audience enjoys as much as you do.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.